Hello and welcome back to Clockwork Noodles, the channel where Becca breaks down any airing anime of the season, and I also go into things like colour design, I go into design itself, and a few of my upcoming videos which you guys haven't seen yet, where I'm starting to theme up a few things, so lots of fun things coming your way. Aside from that, it's just a channel where I get to scree over really cool things and share my love with you guys. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you like anything I do, it really helps us. We are going through a slightly slow patch on the channel, so all of the love right now really helps. I have a Discord channel which gives you a notification whenever a video goes up live, so you can lurk on there. I'm not really overly active on there as of yet, but it will be a place I want to build when there becomes a lot more of us, where I can run things like polls and everything. So lots of ideas for the future. We are back with Kemono Jihen episode 4. I liked today's episode. There's a lot of really nice points that I've managed to get a bit more of a summary at the end of this video. So last week we saw our new client. We have a client indeed. Our client's name is Yorino or Yorin. We also get an interesting sentence where they mention the bar, which we have seen on multiple occasions, belonging to Inagami's past partner, who I don't know whether that's Inari, so maybe she was the one who had the bar installed. She does strike me as somebody who would drink, or there's something else, or Inagami has actually lost somebody in the past. Oddly enough, it wasn't Inagami's. When I first saw the bar, I was like, okay, yeah, sure, it fits. Inagami's a trickster, he probably likes a bit of drink here and there, but apparently it's not his. Interesting to see if we get that delved into any time down the line. We also get a fun little pun on the word koi. So obviously koi in Japan is love, but our Kon, I'm going to miss Kon. Kon makes the joke that she really likes koi because they're plump and they're fat and they live in the park. Koi carp are really cool. I have koi carp in my pond, so I appreciate Kon. I think that's why I'm going to miss her the most, is I really appreciate her sense of humour. Today's mission, the first half anyway, so we've got 2 missions this episode, is about love. The idea of it being love is obviously very important because it's going to be something that the character Kabane needs to experience and start to develop. This ends up leading Kabane to decide that he wants to undertake the mission to understand what it means to be born within love. Can anybody in the comments, any of my people watching, can anyone actually translate what this writing on the side of the screen is? Curious to know what this actually says, so if that is you, take your chance to shine in the comments and I'll probably flag you if you have the proper translation, hopefully. And don't put something random. Don't tell me it's like geese or, I don't know, more koi carp jokes. Inagami promises Kabane's head for Kon's support. Obviously, our mischievous Tanuki is not planning on cutting off Kabane's head anytime soon, but it is a great way to get Kon's support. So I'm quite happy that we do get at least one mission with Kon in the bag, because I really like Kon as a character. Where I was about to comment on the precious rat child, and I own rats, guys. I love them to bits. So seeing a rat, I was like, oh yeah. And then what happens to the rat? I was like, oh no. The rat gets eaten by Yorino, and he's apparently collecting these rats to give to the object of his desire, which obviously gives us a bit of information on what he's possessed by. So obviously he's come in contact with the kimono energy, so he's slightly possessed by that energy, which is what's led him to this place in the first place. Our first image I'm going to put on the screen here, our first bit of Japanese lore today, is the Nekomata, the evil cat, or just a cat spirit as mentioned in this. A few of these have been mentioned in otome games. There's a few which mention a Nekomata. In Natsume's Book of Friends, we have a Nekomata in the form of Nyanko Sensei. He's not really evil, he's just a bit of a handful. But interesting, that is our first one of today. His bag of mice, rats, they kind of look more like rats than mice. Mice tend to have larger ears. He's possessed by a cat, so he's trying to bring presents to the cat. So obviously, domestic cats bring their owners mice and moths and things. He's trying to do the same kind of thing. And we also get to see Inagami being more of that protective parent. We've mentioned it a few times that Inagami really is shining in the sense that he's very good at the parent role. He's really looking out for people. We saw last week that he was the fun parent who lets the kids eat at 2 different restaurants and then they get sick. He is a protective parent again, and he tells Akira basically to sit this one out because it's not going to be very pleasant. Even though it wasn't overly bad, I actually thought the second mission was worse in the sense of scary. We've already seen that Akira isn't quite good with the scarier things, the scary horror aspect of this anime. And we've seen that reaction to the bugs. He fainted at seeing Kabane's severed head. To be fair, a few people probably would be a bit spooked out by seeing a head talking. It's that considerate side to seeing Inagami being very considerate, that he's trying to also cheer him up by saying, you can help me out in the office, so you can be useful here. He is aware that Akira feels a little bit useless in a sense. Like, Akira lacks confidence in his own ability to help people. So the object of our desire, first culprit of the first mission, is a cat demon named Mao Chan, who works at a mature establishment. And innocent Cabernet, I love it because he's just so innocent, and also he's quite flat out. He'll say things as they are, and he basically gives us the breakdown to what the word mature means. I like that. The target is a two-tailed cat, which I like because the mischievous Nakamatas obviously sometimes have the two-tailed split tails. This leads us to seeing Mao Chan transforming back into her human form. Once more, seeing Con, and more reasons why I'm gonna miss Con is, do we catch it and eat it? I just love it. It kind of reminded me of like Gluttony from Fullmetal Alchemist. Can we eat it? Just, she's got food on her brain, and I like it. And that's what we saw with the mention of the koi carp earlier, that I have a theory that Con might be eating the koi carp from the pond. Cabernet's simple directness, basically coming straight out and explaining absolutely everything to Mao. Poor innocent Cabernet is like, no, it's not seduction. This is true love. And he really is believing that Yuren loves Mao. And I just love, I think I like all the characters. I think most of the characters we've seen so far, I really have a liking to. I think they're really, really quite charming in the way they're written. Even Mao Chan's quite funny, and she ends up living with Yuren. Even that is quite kind of charming in itself. Con is OP. She ends up just picking up the kitty and going, that's it. And she kind of just shoves the cat in front of Yuren, going, that's it, explain, state your terms. He just confesses his true love for her, and it really is just love, that he actually just says that, I had nothing, I've got no attachment to this world, and he just wants to become a cat. He would happily become a cat for her, because we do see that the men who have fallen in the past, our former customers, as she says, they have become these quite ugly looking cats because they're cats with the human face still. So, and that is obviously our mission over. The first mission is just something fun, just to see our characters bouncing off one another, getting to see our characters interacting as well. We're seeing that directness of Cabernet taking the lead, taking the charge. He takes quite a forefront role of this episode. We get to see Con in action. Our tricky Tanuki gives her a orange, which to her, she sees Cabernet's head. I'm quite sad. I'm sad to see Con vanish for a bit. I really hope we get to see more of her because I really like the character. I thought the character was quite charming, and I really do like the way she kind of bounced off Cabernet, because when they were the first talking about the mission and they were sat there outside going, no, we'll wait till her shift finishes, both Con and Cabernet were like, that's it, what we're waiting for, let's go inside. They were just up on their feet, ready to take action. It was quite nice to see those two taking the lead. Somehow Cabernet standing there with his hoodie zipped up over his head is not a giveaway to Con that something is up, which I think just kind of is that level of cuteness. She doesn't think anything's up because she's quite naive and innocent as well. So what has Cabernet learned about the idea of love? And it's such a touching scene. The sequence caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it to be as precious as it really was. So he produces his pocket tissues for Inagami, and he says that love is like light. And we've mentioned this before. We've seen it shown in even the ending, the whole ending as well. Inagami has shown Cabernet a bright light in that dark world. So where Cabernet has been on his own, his world was dark, he didn't have a reason or anything, Inagami ended up bringing him meaning to his life. We know that there's different forms of love. There's platonic, there's friendship love, there's a friend, there's like that love where you respect somebody. I think obviously that's that kind of love he has for Inagami, that he does love him, and he says, I brought you some tissues because they're useful. So it's that kind of love where you want to be useful to your friends. This scene was so precious. It really caught me off guard. I think I know why this anime is a dark horse for me. It might end up with an honourable mention at the end of the season. As always, if you're not used to me and you've only just found me, I do a wrap up at the end of each of the anime seasons. I'll crown my top 3. Is it possible that Kemono Jihen will make the list? I don't know yet. It's too early to say because there's a lot of animes taking their time to get going, or this one's kind of got my attention already hooked. It's a good sign in the least, but I will be in a few weeks looking at what I'm going to watch for the spring anime season anyways. That video will generally air at the end of the season, where I'll crown my top 3 from winter and mention what I'm watching in spring. I think spring's going to be very, very busy for me. I've got a lot of animes coming out. It's going to be interesting to see if Kemono Jihen makes its way onto that list, because it's got strong chances. I think it's definitely catching my attention. We also see Cabernet's growing love for Shiki and Akira, and he's even like, I will get you something later. So their bonds that we've seen slowly building over the few episodes, they are growing, and it's so nice to see Cabernet starting to open up and express his feelings for his friends and his chemical Inagami, a guardian and a friend. It turned out it really, really was love, and we actually do have a happy ending finally, where our man has decided that he is going to live with his beloved cat. The ugly man, scary man cats are going to turn back into humans, so it's happy news all around. They go back to being something not so scary. Well, we're now going to swing into what kicks off the second half of the episode, where Akira's insecurity about being useful comes to the forefront once more. He becomes Kabunai's apprentice after Kabunai has saved him from the scary cockroach in the shower. I need a Cabernet in my life. I am terrified of spiders. Currently, I have to get rid of all the spiders in my room, and it's a horrible, nightmarish thing for me. I'm not really scared of a great deal. I don't mind bugs, I don't mind snakes, but spiders for some reason I can't do. So I need Senpai Cabernet to come and get them. But during this sequence where Akira proclaims that Cabernet is his senpai, it's just a look on Cabernet's face where he is completely clueless about what's going on. So, mission 2. I did find it interesting to note that Inagami was just going to take Cabernet along with him. So that was my first hint that something might occur during the actual mission. Our next mission is to investigate what is causing multiple deaths on the river. Akira and Cabernet. It's also our chance to see Akira and Cabernet bond. Up until this point, we've seen Shiki and Cabernet take on a few missions. It's time to see Akira in action with Cabernet and get a bit of backstory for that character. The hazmat suit. I love the hazmat suit, but it really doesn't last long, but it is fantastic to see. But we also get to see Akira in a different color this week. So Akira wears yellow. Yellow is a childlike, carefree, fresh, happy color. Very positive color. I think Akira is just that ray of positivity. Whenever you see him on screen, just taking life as it is and being very, very carefree with the way that he makes himself happy with the social media aspects and things. So I think the colour absolutely 100% suits Akira. Cabernet as well, we get to see him really wanting to vie for a peaceful solution. And he is very, very mature in the sense that he tries to explain that you don't attack things, you don't provoke things, and he won't kill anything unless he has no choice. It's a very mature way of thinking. Cabernet has that aspect. I think he's slightly more mature in the way that he thinks at times. A really fantastic character. He is my precious bean. I really love seeing Cabernet develop every episode. So we get some backstory on Akira finally, and we also learn the reasons why Akira joined Inagami, because obviously up until this point, it's odd that you've got a character who's quite scared of a lot of things, who would be helping out in a place where day to day you'd be facing a lot of these scary items and scary things as well. But Akira is looking for his brother. Seeing Cabernet in the way that Cabernet acts, that also reminds Akira of his brother, where we finally get to find out what Akira is. And Akira is a Yuki Ono, which is quite cool because I've heard of this one, and I'm currently actually playing a game where a Yuki Ono is central to the plot. Yuki Ono, or the Snow Woman, they prey on lost travelers up in the mountains. As we've mentioned before, Yuki Ono they tend to be female, noted for being very, very beautiful. Akira does mention, which is quite a nice little play on the folklore, that every so often, after 100 years or so, a male is born into the clan. Akira's brother is noted to be stronger, but we do hear the word tainted. So he vows to protect Akira because he doesn't want him to become tainted, and they ended up being separated when they decided to leave their village, which makes me wonder whether that is going to be a plot line that comes up later down the line, whether we will eventually find Akira's brother and he's going to be tainted. Or naturally, with Yuki Ono, it makes sense that Akira has ice powers. However, Akira does say, I'm not very good at using them. The ability to freeze water is really all that he can do right now. I was thinking at that time, this is going to be useful later. I bet this comes up later. I was correct. It does come back. But it's quite nice to see the lean in that I'm not very good at them, and then later on seeing them in action. So I was expecting a kappa. I don't know why I was really expecting kappa for this episode, but it ends up being these frogs. The tanuki just jumps out of the middle of nowhere and actually protects them. I was literally just screaming, going, oh my god, it's Inagami, or it's a familiar. And it's so cute. If they ever make this as a plushie, this is the plushie I want. I want this Tanuki plushie because it's absolutely adorable. And it's even got the same kind of hair over the eye that Inagami has. That's how I knew it was Inagami. I was like, if it's a familiar, it's oddly very, very similar to looking like him. So normally familiars don't quite look like the person in control of them. It is so cute and I really want one. And Inagami as a Tanuki might be the best thing so far in this anime for me. I actually actually adore this. I was kind of squealing going, oh my god, it just got better. This anime somehow just got better for me. And Akira really is me. Just, I would be the same. I'd be picking it up and going, oh, you are so cute. I would be doing exactly the same thing. I love the fact that Kabane's like, oh, he's a boy. So that's what you were looking at. To be fair, if you saw my pictures of the tanuki last week, you would notice that they are male, and you would I'll probably put the picture back on screen. Because they're mischievous, they do tend to get into a lot of issues and trouble, and they make trouble a lot with their male parts, of course. It's Japanese folklore, guys. Some of the Japanese folklore is really fun to read. I would recommend even delving into it yourselves, because it really is fascinating to read at times and funny. There's a lot of very funny folklore stories. So not all Japanese kind of folklore yokai demons, they're not all bad. Some of them are just mischievous, as we've mentioned, or the tanukis. They just like to cause trouble. They're just fun. Inagami has a pouch around his neck and a letter, basically trying to pretend that it's not actually him, but we know it is him. And it's also got a vial of blood. Nicely, even though he's not there in inverted commas, he's given them the tools. He's given them the information about the frog kimono, who have lost their intelligence. They're now just attacking everybody because of instinct. I think later on down the line, we learn from the big old wise frog king that they're even attacking each other. Inagami has given them the tools to complete the mission. I really like it. He really is that protective parent looking out for them. Akira is given a chance to sit this one out. So Kabane's like, I'll walk you back. It's okay. This is probably going to be a bit more than you can handle. Where we get another flashback to seeing Akira asking Inagami to work and get stronger to help find his brother. So he's working for Inagami in hopes that he can become stronger. He's able to go and locate his brother, and he'll be able to actually be useful to his brother. That's why he's sticking out a job which you would probably think, with somebody who's quite scared of a lot of things, wouldn't be quite the best match job-wise for him. Again, we see the brother, and I don't know if this tainted thing is going to come back. I think it might. Basically telling Akira that you got to leave it to the strong. So he basically calls Akira weak, and then he says, just let the strong do it. The way Akira says this next line is straight in front of Inagami, and that's the pan. This is the bit which made me realize it was Inagami. Akira says, I've had enough of being with the old man. Poor Inagami, right in his face. We pan to the tanuki, and it's him. It's totally him. He said he was going to take Kabane with him anyway, so he clearly had cleared the day so that he would be there. So he's just there to make sure things don't go horrifically wrong. But I love that. He's such a protective, loving character. He's a really warm character. So I think last week I was really worried that he'd turn out to be a bad person. I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. And if they do make him a bad person, I'm just going to be so sad, because I don't think it fits the character. Knowing this is what motivates Akira to try and be stronger. The fight proceeds quite nicely. We get to see our tanuki protecting Akira, which is so nice to see him still kicking butt even in his tanuki form. Kabane becoming pro, literally putting up such a good show, putting out the entrails. It's just seeing these two together just kicking frog butt is really, really nice. I really like the way that this scene kind of plays out, where we have Akira in a corner trying as much as he can to try and overcome the fear. It's that moment where we're going to try and see if we can get Akira to overcome the fear, try and motivate him to be more confident in himself, because it really does come down to a lack of confidence as well. Obviously, with a brother telling you that leave it to the strong people, you don't have to do anything. That also drives into Akira's head that I am weak, I can't do anything more, and that I'm obviously strong, I've got to rely on other people, which is what we start to see. We even see that Kabane is at the point where he's losing limbs. So the thought of seeing Kabane losing his limbs over Akira, I think that's initially what drives Akira to finally overcome that fear, overcome and find that confidence. It's the thought of helping a friend out, and also making sure that people don't get hurt because of you. The determination to also be useful. We finally get to see those cool ice powers in action. And I'm a big fan of ice magic using characters, and I like it. So it was quite nice to see the ice powers in action. I really like ice powers. Frozen Kabane complimenting Akira was just hilariously funny, just as he's been caught up in the act and he's still there, happy as ever. The reason why I really like Kabane as well, he's still just frozen. He doesn't care about the situation he's in. He sends a compliment, and then it's just we have to take a picture whilst you're frozen. Inagami sneaking away to find the older Frog King. I want to call him the Frog King. He's going to be Frog King now. Who gives us a bit more information that the younger kin, his young king, are starting to eat people and they're attacking each other. Inagami as a tanuki is the best thing for me. I think that was the best thing for me this episode. I loved seeing it. But we do get that evil frog laugh when he's like, make sure you bury them this time. Is this going to come back later? Is this foreshadowing? Are we going to be seeing these frogs again? Because that evil frog laugh wasn't convincing. We end on a picture between Frozen, Cabernet, and Akira. The episode we've just seen basically establishes the bond between Akira, and we also see a bit more of a backstory, so we are slowly developing our characters. Right now, Akira's taken a bit of a backseat to Shiki, as he was a stronger character. We also see Akira and Cabernet start to bond. Obviously, up until this point, Cabernet's been the person who gets all the bugs out, but we get to see Akira, what Akira sees in Cabernet as well, the fact that Akira sees his brother in Cabernet. We get to see those powers in action, which I really, really like. And hopefully in the next episodes, Akira will be more and more confident to the point that we get to see more control over those powers, because obviously that was out of fear, so that everything got frozen. Will there get to be a point where Akira is able to localize the ice powers and make beams or toss ice at somebody? Will be interesting to see how becoming more confident will affect the way that Akira uses his powers. We also get to see Cabernet starting to understand the idea of love, and we see that love for Inagami, so we can see how important Inagami is to Cabernet. Hopefully Inagami also feelings and love for Cabernet as well, as is guardian in a sense. Inagami's Tanuki form really is absolutely amazing. It's my favourite thing of the episode. I'm sorry I keep going back to that, but it is amazing. I love it, and I like the fact that you can tell it's him. It's got like the hair and it's got the tail still. So I really, really hope that they do make merchandise of that form, because I really want a fluffy Inagami on my bed. We also see love between cat and human, so we're exploring the Kemono human relationships going on, so we're starting to see it in action. So right until now we've only really dealt with the idea that these children are a result of that love, but we're finally getting to see it in action, where we can see a human falling for a cat, the cat Neko Mata, and it does appear to be a honest, happy relationship, because she ends up setting the other cats free, the cat humans free, whilst she ends up living with Yorino. Will their kids be half Neko Mata? It's going to be an interesting one there. We also get a hint that Inagami had a partner in the past that may not have been Inari, or maybe it was, not quite sure. We'll hope to get some more information at some point on that. And my big question is, will Kon be back? Obviously, Kon isn't too stupid. She's going to work out that she was tricked, so will Kon come back? I want to see Kon back. I really like that chemistry. I miss her already, because I thought she was a fantastic character. I really enjoyed today's episode, guys, if you can tell. And I really am enjoying Kemono Jihen. I think it's definitely a highlight of my week. There's a lot of animes airing at the moment, but it's definitely one I go, ooh, the next episode's coming out today. And it lightens up my day, because at the moment I'm not working Sundays. I do hope you guys too are enjoying this anime. It's definitely providing more than I thought it would. So I think somebody even said that it's not a great anime, but it's they love it because of the fact that they love it and it's nothing special. But I think you're wrong. I think this anime is something special, and I think that there are people out there who are noticing that it was something special. It's fantastic to watch. I'm loving all the characters. I'm loving the way they develop things. I also like the fact that we stick to a few themes each episode. So this week was about love. This week was also about kind of protecting each other. The idea of Akira wanting to get stronger for your brother, that's also love. We're seeing different forms of love this episode, and I like the fact that each episode we're slowly covering little topics bit by bit. This week we had a new bond between Akira and Cabernet explored. We've also got like the idea of the brother being out there, which is hopefully going to be explored later down the line as well. So I like the way that we're slowly developing the bonds. We're slowly delving into the characters, giving them a backstory, giving these characters a 3D appearance more than just the 2D one we see. These characters are deeper than they appear. I really like that. I think this anime is really making my season. I'm really enjoying watching it. So I hope you guys are staying safe, and I will see you guys next week for more breakdowns. And in a few weeks' time, you have a special video going live on my channel, which I think you guys might like. So stay tuned for that. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.